Good morning. I'm Deborah Johnson, your psychology instructor for General Psychology and Introduction to Psychology. This is a brief presentation into the study of psychology. So let's begin with our learning goals and objectives for this presentation. We're going to analyze the modern definition of psychology, describe the goals of psychology, and describe the modern perspectives in psychology, and these will be very brief as we will go more in depth into the chapter. And it's not meant to replace our face-to-face instruction, but a brief overview and sort of a supplement to the chapter. The goals of psychology are to describe, explain, predict, and control. And describing simply means that psychologists study behavior, record data. And to understand the cause of behavior, researchers conduct experimental research and they manipulate variables and environment to gain and understand. Then, once the behavior data is collected and detected, they make predictions about the behavior. Then the last goal, control, used to help people understand and control their environments, to help to improve their behaviors. Now, how do we define psychology? Why do we study psychology? Well, in order to understand the normal, you have to understand the normal behavior. Psychology is the study of behavior in mind, and it is scientific based on observation, subjective experiences, and as well measurable behavior. And it comes from the Greek word meaning psychic. Now, let's begin with the perspectives of behavior. The evolutionary perspective focuses on the evolution of behavior and mental processes. And it's also based on Darwin's theory of evolution. He believed that physical and psychological characteristics were adaptive naturally. The behavior perspective, coined by John B. Watson and B.F. Skinner, these focus on observable behavior and carefully controlled experiments and environments. And of course, Skinner believed that learning is reinforced on the principle of operant conditioning, which he says that learning and behavior is reinforced by repetition. And of course, the behavioral Ivan Pavlov, who coined the term classical conditioning, says that classical conditioning where organisms associate or anticipate events. And read on about that in the chapter. Sigmund Freud was known as the father of psychoanalysis, thus the psychoanalytic perspective is the theory of psychoanalysis that studies how the mind works and how to address disorders. And Skinner says that the unconscious mind helps people bring their unconscious thoughts and conflicts into awareness. And he said there are three theories of personality: the id, the ego, and the superego. And we will discuss those more in depth as well. The humanistic perspective, Carl Rogers Abraham Maslow. Maslow developed a hierarchy of needs where he says that there are 5 basic needs that must be met before a person can reach their full potential in life. And if these needs are met, a person won't be successful. Carl Rogers says that humans have the potential for self-awareness, that they have the ability to make their own choices, but with these choices comes responsibility, that they play a major role in their treatment. The sociocultural perspective addresses ways in which people are different. How are we different from people ethically, culturally, socially? And it also studies cultural heritages, discusses gender, which refers to culturally defined concepts of masculinity and femininity. And it involves cultural expectations and social groups as well. Then there's the cognitive perspective. Now, key assumptions of this perspective says that individuals who suffer from mental disorders have studied an irrational thinking style, which causes these maladaptive behaviors. It's the way we think about problems rather than how we can solve them. And of course, individuals can learn to overcome. Then there is the biological perspective, which is concerned how the brain and nervous system underlie behavior and mental processes that are taken inside the body. We studied the brain, the nervous system. We also studied the endocrine system because it helps to determine the biological causes of behavior, and we will talk more about that in depth as well. And we'll talk about the hormonal systems that are involved. The eclectic approach involves drawing or adopting information from many different sources rather than relying on one perspective. So, of course, the eclectic approach includes all of these: the psychoanalytic, we draw from the humanistic, the evolutionary, the sociocultural, the learning, the cognitive, and the biological. And as you can see, the model in the bottom diagram is a biopsychosocial model of health. Perhaps they draw from the biological. Maybe there are some physical problems going on, some drug effects. Maybe there's some behavior issues that affect their self-esteem, psychological, coping, and social. Maybe the social is affecting the mental or biological, which their peers, maybe there are family circumstances. There are many things that's going on with an individual that affect their psychological health. So in this presentation, we have talked about the goals of psychology, which are describing, explaining, predicting, and control. We've also talked about the why we study psychology and the importance of what all of that means. We've also broken down the definition of psychology into how it is in the various components. Then we talked about the various perspectives of psychology. And it is important that we learn to use more than one approach because it affects our overall psychological health. Then we talked about how it is important to understand the personality. So this is just a brief presentation of this introduction to psychology. There's some web resources for video learning. There are many other on the web. This is one particular website that I truly enjoy, the Annenberg media series called Discovering Psychology, that goes into all of the various areas of psychology, and I urge you to visit this website. It's very helpful. It's a learning series on the study of psychology. Also, there are many videos that I will probably be posting throughout the term. Here is a very interesting, fun way to end this presentation and to give you a brief review of what we've talked about. Enjoy the video.
Craziness, I bet there is a just waiting for a guinea pig like you.